Hey there, Colonials. Welcome back to another episode of Quickly Colonial. You know, earlier this week, Mrs. Colonial and I decided we were going to sit down and watch a movie after work in the evening. And, what goes best with a movie, and that's a big bowl of popcorn. And that got me thinking, you know what? I know about popcorn in colonial times. One of the biggest people who loved popcorn and was mesmerized by it was Benjamin Franklin. And whenever he first got to Philadelphia, he noticed a lot of the local Indian tribes. They would just throw kernels in the hot coals, and it would pop up, and they'd reach in and grab it and snatch it up and eat it. And he was actually one of the first people to come up with the idea of putting it in a little iron pot and cooking it over the hot coals and making popcorn that way. In the colonial era in the American colonies, they called it parched corn instead of what we call popcorn today. He was a big fan of this, and he actually would go to London and try to push it onto them and say, hey, you ought to try this popcorn, this parched corn. It's pretty good. In England and especially in London and all across Europe, it really didn't go over too well. Their go-to starch was wheat. And so the whole idea of popcorn really didn't go over well with them. As a matter of fact, in 1766, a British newspaper said that this corn was a rather tasteless food. And so it wasn't popular over there, but even today, popcorn is huge here. And, Benjamin Franklin had a recipe that he made up in 1757, and he wrote it in one of his journals. And it was for a little bit of parched corn and beans, and he made it into what he called a corn and bean succotash. So imagine making, I don't know, chili with popcorn in it is basically what he was eating. But he loved it. He thought it was great. I found another recipe, and it was more along the lines for the more poor in the community. And it was very, very simple. So I'm going to try that today. I'm going to see how I like it. So I didn't want to use buttered popcorn, so I just got plain old corn kernels, and I popped just plain corn. So there's no flavor in this. It's just plain popcorn. And they would take either milk or cream and pour over it with a little bit of sugar or sweetener of some kind. So I've seen honey, I've seen sugar. So we're gonna try this. I don't know. We're gonna try this. And so I used half heavy cream and half milk in here, and I mixed it together to try to get a consistency of what they would go with. So here we go. We have our bowl of popcorn kernels and our heavy cream and milk. So we're gonna pour over that, and it's weird. You ought to see what it's doing. It makes a hiss, and it shrinks. Those popcorn kernels shrink down, and it's popping like Rice Krispies. It's that's pretty neat. Nowhere in the recipes of this, in any of the versions of the recipes, could I find, was it warm? Did they warm it up and use warm cream, or did they just keep it cold? It didn't say. So, you know what? American breakfast cereals, I'm going to keep it cold. And so I have, I don't know if you can see that or not. It started to shrink up. Those corn kernels have shrunk. So we have our corn and our milk mixed with heavy cream, and I have a little bit of sugar here. So, in America, we have to have our sugarized cereals. Even as a kid, eating oatmeal and whatnot, my goodness, it didn't taste very good unless you had a ton of sugar or jelly or maple syrup or whatever in there. So, okay, let's try this out. You know, you can the corn is the big winner there. It has a big popcorn flavor. It doesn't have that, buttery popcorn flavor because I just use plain popcorn. And the aftertaste is that heavy cream. And oh, what a wonderful flavor, that heavy cream. And the sugar, my goodness, you can't even taste the sugar. That cream and that popcorn flavor just really, really overpower it. I'll be honest with you, it's not my favorite. But I suppose if that's all you had, hey, I wonder if honey would have tasted better. But if that's all you had, it would satisfy you. It would be all right. So there you have it. The colonial period, especially 1760s, the recipe for breakfast. They would eat it for breakfast. Popcorn and heavy cream and a little bit of sugar. So there you have it. Well, colonials, we'll see you next time.